And then big things started happening, right? Lots of success in Europe, surely, right?
Yeah.
Internationally as well.
Internationally on the continent, in Europe, sorry. It was very good for us.
Exactly.
Nothing in America, really. The edges were okay.
Still, a string of really good albums, one after another, right?
Yeah.
That's really something. How does a 20-something cope with something like that?
Not very well.
On the road especially, you know. At home, okay, but on the road?
Little Angels was okay because we toured in the UK. We'd go home after 3 or 4 week tour of every venue you could name in the UK, and it was great laugh, and we'd get drunk and maybe take a few drugs or whatever, but we'd go home. With Skunk, the success that came after Week, when we released Week, that started off a snowball of getting support tours and being on tour for the next, let's see, I joined in June 1995, and I had maybe 11 weeks off between then and when we split up, which was 2000. We had 2 weeks at Christmas, and that was it. We were either touring, writing, recording, or doing promo. So I didn't cope with it very well. Towards the end, I met my first wife, and that just, she couldn't cope with me being away, and I couldn't cope with her not being able to cope, and it went very, very wrong for me. I drank to myself into oblivion, and took drugs to cope with it, and ended up you can't survive in this environment behaving like that for very long, because either I would have become ill, or the bandmates just get sick of your behaviour.
True.
It didn't. Well, we split up. So
but
didn't have a great.
The problem is
result.
this kind of living is just living in a bubble. It's not real life.
Yeah.
So you have to find some, also artificial ways of coping with it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem.
It is a big problem.
Yeah.
And it was a big problem for the band, and it was one of the reasons we split up. Although we never say that.
Did it ever affect your playing, actually?
Yeah, I was terrified to go on stage because I was still hungover and feeling terrible. I would go on the crew bus till 7 or 8 o'clock, till the buses stopped at the next town, and then I'd quickly go back on our bus and pretend like I'd been asleep all night, and I'd be there, eyes wide open. I'd wait till everyone got off to go to breakfast, and then I'd just go, oh God.
And everybody knew anyway.
And everyone knew anyway, because I wasn't there all night. So, it was one of those things, it became, addiction is a funny, not funny ha-ha, but it's a very intricate, difficult, complicated illness. And it just wants you to isolate and isolate and isolate, and that's what happened. I became more and more alone, more and more isolated, but surrounded by people, and it's a very, very lonely place. Which
probably brings us to your charity work as well, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
Okay.
Let's talk about, back in the day, let's talk about recording process, for example.
Yeah.
Because it's changed slightly over the years, right? Absolutely. Back in the day, there was computers already, but not as, widespread as today. So when recording today, for example, with Skunk, do you approach it the same way you did 20-something years ago? Or do you use the computer and the digital technology?
We use technology, we love it. We absolutely love it. We don't shy away from it. In terms of writing the songs, if you go back to the beginning of each song, we sit in a room and we come up with ideas, and that's very organic. But then the recording process will change each time. So one album, when we got back together, for example, after the break, Wanderluster was recorded you know, all together. And then Black Traffic was recorded one at a time, and we constructed the song, then deconstructed it and put loops in and samples and this, that and the other, made it really heavy and really punchy. And then with an architecture, it was kind of a mix of both, you know. So we'd do some in the room with each other, we do some all together, and we do some separate. So it's sort of, there's no rules really when it comes to recording, but we're certainly not shy of putting samples in. When there's a 4 to the floor bass drum, for example, I always layer up the bass drum and make it as big. And maybe with this best example is Love Someone Else, which is essentially a dance track played in a rock band. Then, you know, we like to make that bass drum really electronic and punchy. And
True. And before a session, do you like to be prepared, or is it now that you just maybe even write in the studio? What's the process?
I would love to be more prepared, always. I always want to have a version of the song with no drums on it, and I never ever get one, ever. I always say, can you guys just record this without me? And then because then I'll take it home, and then I can just sit with that and think and see what comes up, and then I'll bring that. They never give me that opportunity, and I don't know why.
So it's always the last moment.
It's control. I want to control the drummer always.
So you have to come up with parts on the spot, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And you know, Skin will sing some things to me, and I'll sing things to Ace, and you know, we're always getting involved in everyone else's business. But that's a beautiful thing about Skunk Anansie, really, is that when we write the albums, the ego stays at the door. You know, believe it or not, it's true. We just get in there, and the only rule that we have really is that it has to be great. To us, it has to be a great idea for us. And then it stands a chance of being used. You know.
Before shows, do you prepare? Do you warm up, or is it just, you know?
I used to do a lot of pad work. You know, just like single strokes, very simple rudiments, and shoulder rolls and stretches and all that. But since I've been getting involved in the video side of things and having to do a lot of other jobs other than just play, since the industry changed, and you know, that's a whole other conversation in itself. Sometimes I'm doing the cameras up till, and Ace will say, "Come on, you need to get ready," and I think I've had a couple of injuries, most notably a split bicep tendon here, which just split the lengthways down the tendon. And I keep getting spasms in this shoulder now. I don't know why. I think it's just tired. We're getting to the end of the tour. It's tired. I'm 46. I don't warm up as much as I should. So you know, you're going to get problems, aren't you? So it's the same if I was going onto a rugby field not warming up. I'd snap a hamstring like that. So I did a big article about this in Rhythm magazine. You know, saying I'm now in my 25th year of playing professionally and doing everything wrong, and this is what happens. This is what happens if you don't. You know, you have problems with your hands swelling up. You know, my hand goes every single night. My hand in the third song is completely numb. I don't know. It just is. I don't know why. I'm lucky if I can hold on to the stick and I get through that song. I'm like, yes. It's a good day. and all that is just blood flow. It's not it can't get oxygen to my hands fast enough, and that's from not, you know, I don't know. I've had all sorts of treatments and Chinese doctors and
right. Yeah, but you're into biking, so your arms should be quite strong, you know, holding, you know.
Well, that's another stupid hobby for a drummer, isn't it, really? Dirt biking, it's not a good hobby. Don't do it, okay? Just, if you play drums, just stay away from motorbikes, full stop.
Okay.